Don't wait till the battle's over. Don't wait till the struggle ends. Shout now, shout now, right now. Shout now, shout now. Don't wait till you make it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PHILLIP Show. I hope you're having a great day. I'm having an awesome day. The weather is it did some frosting, but you know we'll make it through. The sun's out now. I got my coffee, so if you don't have yours, grab yours. So listen, I'm super excited about today. For those of you who do not know, I'm a musician as well. So anytime I have the opportunity to speak to somebody about music and their concepts, their thought, their process, you know, I'm super excited, as well as doing marketing and branding and all of that. So today, I am very, very, very excited. So today we have Khalil Nasar, and he's a singer, a songwriter, a producer, as well as a videographer, drone operator, photographer, and we're going to meet him right now. Khalil.
Philip, I'm loaded with my coffee too. You're right. That's the first start of any creative's day.
Right, your cup is like the business. What is that cup doing?
Oh yeah. Okay, so this is funny. This is a cup that I got for my mom my last time visiting Germany. It says "Ein Haus ist kein echtes Zuhause ohne einen Hund." So it means a house is not really a home without a dog.
And I like your mom, and she's right.
Yeah, it's cheesy, and she's like a crazy animal person. So
really, are you an animal person too?
Oh hell yeah! I don't have any pets of my own at this point, which is kind of sad. But I grew up with all sorts of. I used to call my house Zoo House because we literally had cats, dogs, rabbits, fish, frogs, salamanders.
Not fish and frogs. Wait.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I still have this frog since I was 5 years old, and I'm 26 now. This thing is still alive.
Are they supposed to do that? Are they that long? Like, is it? Like
I think it's called like an African dwarf frog or something like that. These things live forever. Like.
Now you mentioned about your the coffee, and you mentioned Germany. Are you from Germany?
I'm born in the U.S., but my family is German. We have some German roots. Okay. So we're still like over there. It's cool. I still have like relations over there that I keep in touch with.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk music. My gosh.
Let's talk.
Yeah. So briefly, how did you get in? How did you start, or when did you know that music was like a thing for you?
Sure. I mean, geez, ever since I can remember, I've always had this fantasy of being a rock star, like we, like all young folks at some point. But like I started pretty young playing guitar, classical guitar, did lessons, was really not super dedicated to it, not super disciplined, I should say. But I always, love the idea of playing, and really when I got into high school is when I started exploring my voice and learning to sing and play at the same time, and just really wanting to be more of a singer-songwriter kind of frontman type. And then in college I had a really good friend, shout out Ashawn Allen, don't know if he'll see this, but if he does, shout out Ashawn, amazing producer using Ableton, and he just opened me up to a whole world, the whole production realm. Okay. So I would in the studio with him annoyingly be like, hey man, like how does this work, like how do you do this, how do you do that, like just in complete awe. But thanks to him, like I really got the bug for production, and I've been doing that since about 2017. And
wow. And
now I'm in my journey of just, like you had mentioned, kind of DIY, trying to do it all as much as I can. And that's its own bag of worms there, but can of worms.
Well, it's everything worms. It's the bag, the can, the suitcase. It's all of it. So what would you classify as a writer and as a singer and getting into production? What is your genre? Like, who are you when it comes to music?
This is a good question, and that's the the journey I'm still on of the self-branding. And I know you and I have had a lot of conversation about the branding aspect of these things. I would put myself in the realm of like R&B, alternative R&B.
Okay.
I say that just because I really, I think vocally, I sort of capture that sort of kind of R&B sound. I'm very influenced by The Weeknd, Ed Sheeran, Justin Timberlake. But I also have a very like kind of, I think more of like a folky kind of ness in my sound. I'm a guitar player and I sample a lot of guitar stuff. So I just kind of put myself in that alternative R&B realm. I don't know if that's the most accurate, but I'm running with that because that's.
I mean, run. Listen, but I mean, I think that's cool. Huh?
Simpler is better.
Simpler is better. Well, I find nowadays, and let me know if you find this too, but nowadays, before, lanes were so specific. If you were pop, you were pop. If you were R&B, you were R&B. If you were rock, you were rock. And it was very clear where people's, I guess, where their lane was. But I'm not really sure when it kind of changed. But then all of a sudden, things started to fuse together. And I like the way that you use the word alternative, because it's kind of like, well, it's almost like the ish. You know, it's like R&B-ish. You know, it's like rock-ish. You know, did you find that was a lot more comfortable, or, you know, to not really classify, say, I only do rock music?
Yeah, you know, it is a lot more comfortable. I mean, sure, maybe 5-10 years ago, it wouldn't have been, given the state of the, you know, music in general in the industry, however you want to put it, where its labels are very important. But now we see, like, you know, the breakout of people like Lil Nas X, or even I'm thinking of like when The Weeknd came out, and how different of a eclectic genres. And now it's almost like that is becoming a standard, you know, to fuse these elements, country, hip, you know, stuff like that. I do find it's more comfortable, I think, because I'm just a scattered brain person in general. And like, I do so many different things. Like, I'm just always attracted to what's eclectic, what are other elements I can bring in to fuse this. So yeah, it's more comfortable. It's more room for conversation.
When it comes to your writing style, okay, this is coming as a writer, because as a writer, you know, when the lyrics come, they can be kind of your personal journey, or it can be situational. As a writer, when you start to write music or even arrange it, do you is it like a narrative of, say, your life, or do you use bits and pieces from just experiences from other people?
Yeah, you know, I that's a really interesting question, because I think the standard, right, people are, you know, you expect artists to write from their experiences, but I think for me, it is a lot of, it's like kind of creating scenarios, or maybe being inspired by something that happened. But you know, I'm a really big fan of this freestyle kind of method, and it's more common, right? You know, hip hop, you know, freestyling, or they call it punching in vocals, where they just hop on a beat and just stream of consciousness. So I do when I'm doing, you know, my singing stuff on the beats, and or just, you know, grabbing the guitar and just kind of mumbling something until something comes to fruition. And I'm just really in love with language. I like using language, just the feel of language, and sort of the textural experience of music and sound. As a seeker of knowledge and as a developing artist, and I am definitely kind of flexing that writing muscle and coming from a place of experience, creating something cohesive. Like, that's definitely like what I'm working on, because own merit too, right? You know, and that's how we connect with a lot of our favorite artists. Like, they're telling a story, you know, we're hearing their feelings and thoughts and sounds. So I think I've done that so far, but that's definitely something I'd like to explore more, you know?
Yeah. Do you find that I think you kind of touched on it. Are you more of a storyteller type of?
Wouldn't say that. I would say I'm more of like a performer.
Performer, okay.
And I'm super freaking emotional and I can't help it. Feel like, I just really love channeling energy. Whether I'm talking about something deep or something basic. For me, it's a lot about the energy and the performance. And this is why I love doing open mics and stuff like this. And and I had said I really would like to, or I'm on the path of learning to be more of a storyteller and what that entails, because that's a whole realm in itself. But I'd say I'm more like I don't know, just a performer, more of an experiential performer.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, because some people are their passion is, say, in the studio. I would say for me, as a singer-songwriter, I enjoy performing live, but I feel I'm most creative and most free when I'm in the studio creating the piece. Are you? Oh, you agree?
Oh man, hands down. There's some, like not having the pressure of performance, being able to give yourself time and room to mess up, to experiment.
Yeah, you don't have that. You don't have that opportunity in front of people.
You don't, and you just never know. And I'm learning. I'm a very, like I said, I mentioned, I'm very scattered, but at the same time, I like planning, and I like, I'm an overthinker by trade. And but studio, sometimes just being able to be in your own bubble and just stream of consciousness, or not having that pressure. I mean, it's a lovely thing.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
So you're balancing this creative outlet also with some real incredible videography. How are you doing both? I mean, it's very interesting that you're so good at both. It's very interesting, because some people are like, oh yeah, they're all right at that. It's like, oh yeah, they're good at that one. That's their thing. But for you, as somebody looking in, it's just like, well, I don't know what this thing is, because both of these things are really outstanding. So how do you juggle the two with such, I guess, mastery, if you will?
Well, thank you, Phil. I really appreciate that. Yes, it is. There hasn't been a lot of, I guess, planned execution on my part. Okay. Both videography, photography, and music have just been two elements that have always been in my life. It's like I've always been attracted to both. And some months and moments in my life have been completely dedicated to one, and then moved on to the other, and then it's like, oh, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I've got to go back. And so I haven't really had a lot of planned execution, and kind of where I'm at in my life is really taking myself more seriously as a creator, and then becoming more disciplined, creating these structures so that here's what I do want to accomplish. So I'm having a vision forward, because I can't not do both. I feel like going to be that is my trajectory. So yeah, it's a challenge, because it's like, if you the what ifs of doubling down on one thing over the other, and where that could take you. But I know that, like, just the curiosity is so high for me in both of these. And really, film and music are, they're husband and wife, or partners, you know what I mean? Like they're married in a lot of ways, and they cross over. So I find that I do I'm able to bridge, especially when it comes to networking and meeting people. Like I've got friends now, or clients that I've done music videos for, and now we've collaborated on music together. You know what I mean? So
wow.
That's an option. So yeah, it's realizing that I need to, you know, you're splitting your time, and but that's just what it is. You know, it's worth the creativity and the curiosity. So.
Yeah. I know that I'm going to go back to music. I know the music industry has changed a lot. And in what you were saying, the way that you're describing how your approach to the marriage of videography, photography, as well as music, it reminds me of the eclecticism that you're talking about with your style. It's like you don't have to choose one genre. You can be who you are.
Yeah.
And that might span a lot of genres. So you don't have to choose one creative outlet. You can be who you are, and it happens to straddle 2 or 17. It doesn't, you know, it's just part of who you are. When it comes to when it comes to the music industry, you know, it's changed so much. You know, it's changed so much. What do you think social media and access to social media has done for artists? Do you think it's been a good thing? Do you think it's been kind of a challenge?
I would say it's going to be both for sure, in my opinion. What an incredible tool, you know, free marketing, kind of being the master of your own destiny, getting rid of the middleman, so to speak, or the gatekeepers. That's been the benefit of social media, as you know, as we all see, you know, musicians or brands or businesses. On the other side is that, you know, we're flooded with so much information and so much, you know, there's a lot of temptation to compare yourself, and it's just a natural part of this realm we now live in. And, you know, as we see, a lot of that can, you know, be depression, anxiety, all these things. So I think it's like, you know, it's like anything in moderation, right? It's like we have to be of the way it's like altering our minds and impacting because, you know, it's like I know we can all relate to this. It's like, damn, you see on social media, you can't help but compare yourself to this, and like, why am I not there? Like, you know, yada yada yada. But really realizing that, you know, it's like, no, nobody is. You don't have to be worried about anybody else's lane other than yourself. And, you know, what do we see a lot? It's like, only compare yourself to the person you were yesterday. You know what I mean? So
that's good.
So yeah, and kind of summing it up, like, yeah, I mean, it's 50-50. It's such a wonderful thing. Like, what a time to be alive that we can get in front of people all over the world, share our music, like, and we can, you know, we're getting rid of the middle people, and that's so important, especially in music. With, you know, you hear a lot about how labels, you know, misuse artists, or it's really not about the art or the artist at the end of the day. It's about marketable and profitable, and then the artist gets cut out. And now this whole independent musician thing is like, that's like not only possible, but even more appealing.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me, and I'm interested to hear your perspectives there. I was just having a conversation with somebody earlier. We were talking about somebody's record contract and how they had a bad contract. They got like 15 cents on every dollar, and then they didn't own their masters. So basically, they gave away their entire career for little to nothing. Now, back in the day, everybody was really ready to everybody wanted a record deal. So you were pitching yourself to record executives for these labels to look at you, package you, market you with the machine that they had. But now, like you mentioned, take out the middleman. But is there more, in your perspective, is there more, I don't want to say anxiety, but does it put more pressure on the independent artists? Yes, you have the opportunity to kind of be yourself and do your own thing and get in front of people, but you don't have that marketing like machine to push you to kind of an assumed outcome. What would you say to the balance of that?
Yeah, no, that's so real. So the what I won't even put it, it's not a downside, but the responsibility now is on the artist to do everything. I think personally for me, it's why I'm very appealed to this DIY as much as I can do. Although there does time where you do have to, where do you outsource? Where do you make your process more efficient? That's something I'm working on currently. But yes, yes, the responsibility now is more on the musician to do everything, do your marketing, be your manager, book yourself, do your social media. How is it's so easy to get burned out by that, you know?
Yeah.
And even imagine, and that's why it's you know, I think it is about leveraging what your skills are, and then realizing where you are not as skilled, and where can you outsource. And I know that you probably know that very well as a branding person, as a marketer, you know, probably prioritizing the skills and then realizing where you can outsource still. So yeah, it's a more challenging way, but ultimately much more worthwhile, you know, having control, having, you know, that's democracy, right? In a sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So for you right now, what are you working on? Oh, I got two questions. Okay. So number one, what are you working on right now? I'll ask that one first and I'll come back to my second.
No problem. What I'm working on right now is I've got a single coming out in the middle of November. It's called Seasons Change. It's actually, speaking of, we were talking about, you know, flexing that storytelling muscle as a writer. That it is a much more, I guess, it's much more of a narrative than I usually do in my music. So I'm looking forward to that. It's an acoustic kind of sound, so it's a little bit different than what I've put out so far. But and then in terms of like video stuff, I've got a really cool client right now I'm working with, doing business promotion and working a lot in After Effects and Premiere, doing like small little social media commercials. And you know what, I'm really just excited about that because the relationship with the client is really, really special. And you do find that in this, you know, the creative industry or stuff, it's like, you know, a lot of people are, you know, it's like you gotta really test the field and find where your people are, you know, because there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of this and that. I'm sure it's like that in any business, but yeah, those are the two things that I'm working on.
And if somebody were to say, I'm sitting listening to streaming, or if people still listen to the radio, what would be what I know, right?
They do though.
I'm like, how would you say if a song were to come on, how would you describe that it's you? How would I know? What's your signature? Do you have a signature? Like, oh, that's Khalil. You know, I can tell sometimes when I look at your videography. I can, just because I'm looking at it, I'm like, ooh, this looks like something that he would do. How would I know with your music? Like, I know who this is.
You know, I mean, nobody has really ever told me this. I often, like a lot of musicians, you get compared to, which I think early on is a great thing. You're like, oh wow, when you start getting attention, you're like, oh, you think I sound like this person? Cool. I personally think that I do have a unique voice. I mean, it's a, you know, it's kind of in the JT Ed Sheeran-y realm, but I think I have a unique voice. So it's like, I think again, it's like, this is the thing when you're an artist, is like, you know, you can have so much of an opinion or on your trajectory, but really when you're putting yourself out there, it's you know, you're kind of at the mercy of other people's opinions, really.
That's very true. That's very true, because you play guitar as well. So probably, you know what, now that you're saying it, you know, that's 100% true, because however somebody gravitates to you or why they did could be a myriad of different things. It could be, I like this artist because his voice is awesome, or I really like how he plays that guitar, or his lyrics are always deep, you know, so people could pull like different things out. So when they hear it, that's what they hear first. You know, it's like, oh yeah, because if I'm a lyricist, I'll hear lyrics first. If I'm a vocalist, I'll generally listen for vocals. If I'm an arranger, I'll listen for the arrangement. You know, so
it's literally, I mean, that's such a good point that you bring up, and that's why artists got to really open their themselves up to, again, this whole idea of branding and but like literally it could be a myriad of reasons, like you said. Like it could be the beats that you've licensed, or literally just the vibe that you've got going on. Or I'm trying to think, there's this, I don't know if he's like, you would consider him an artist. I guess an artist in this day and age, a social media influencer. There's this guy on Instagram, Sotiet. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Like a Vietnamese guy, and he literally just sings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He just sings numbers, but he's got a good voice, and he's like huge on social media.
Really?
It's just really interesting, like this whole influencer, like what social media stuff these days, like could be like literally a line in your song. Yeah. That somebody like with, and it's like, yo, that's my person.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, going back to it. I at this point, I make my own beats. If I put out a song that is more heavily produced, something not acoustic, I think my beats are pretty unique too. So I think I have a unique beat sound. I think I have a unique voice. So
awesome. Yeah. So for people who are looking to, number one, just connect with you, and then maybe to collab or to see more of your work or hear more of your work, where would you recommend that they go?
Yeah, I'm on all social media platforms. I'm Khalil John. It's my first name. There you go. KHALILJAHN. So that's the best way at this point. Like I had mentioned, I'm as we all are, I'm a work in progress. So working on all the ramifications, the websites and all that. But yeah, social media is going to be the best to connect.
Yeah, cool. And for and I try to ask people this because I think people always have such good advice. So I'm going to ask you too. For somebody who is watching, who may be a videographer or an aspiring one, or a singer-songwriter, producer, an aspiring one, what advice would you give them?
You have to be consistent. You have to keep going. Especially, your mind is your greatest enemy. All the potentially insecurities or feeling down on yourself or comparison, it's all here, so it's like, just keep going with it. Be open to experiences. Even if you lose consistency, like forgive yourself and pick it back up and just keep going. Don't close yourself off from the world.
That's good. Keep going. Khalil, thank you so much for coming and being here with us.
Thank you, Phil.
I'm saying us like there's a whole bunch of, like, it's me. Thanks.
Thank you for the opportunity. Always good seeing you. And I'll be seeing you at the Emporium one of these days, all right? We'll grab a cup of coffee.
Absolutely. Everybody, that was Khalil. And wow, what a creative person, doing a lot of things and doing it with purpose and intentionality, and understanding that you don't have to just choose one thing. You can be the totality of who you are and express yourself in whatever skills that you have. And our takeaway is, just like he said, be consistent, don't lose heart, and don't give up. So remember that you are the best you in the world. I'll see you next time on The PHILLIP Show.
And low, bodies flush and soul. The words that she wrote etched in my mind. Yeah, I ask you now, could you ever grow and be someone who never switches sides? You say, get me reminiscing of the old cliches. I found your love in an open cage. I I'm tryna free it, baby. Something about the candor in a song you sing make me wanna love you till the end of days. You still think about me and I'm amazed. Girl, I'm so amazed by you. Baby, there's something in the words that you say. Show me that you're sad with your pain. Both of us played by the charades for way too long. Something in the words that you say tell me it was always okay. You still think about me, I'm amazed. Ooh, you've turned my gaze. Yeah. Whoa. Just be proud of yourself, all that you are, all that I am, and leave it to fate. Wherever you are, phone when you can. I'm coming home, no I'm not coming home. Fuck, I don't know, where do I belong? I don't wanna ever leave you again. Something about the rhythm in the words you say get me reminiscing about the old cliches. I found your love in an open gauge. Yeah. I'm tryna free it, baby. Something about the candor in a song you sing makes me wanna love you till the end of days. You still think about me and I'm amazed. Yeah, I'm so amazed. Something in the words that you say show me that you're sad with your pain. Both of us played by the charades for way too long. Something in the words that you say told me it was always okay. You still think about me, I'm amazed. You've turned my gaze, restored my faith.